Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today, I'm very pleased and honored to announce that we've introduced H.R. 4817, a bill to establish the Birmingham Civil Rights National Historic Park. I would first like to thank the national and local stakeholders who've played such a critical role in this effort. I'd like to extend a hearty thank you to our mayor for his leadership and all that you do, and to our councilman, Councilman Parker as well as Councilman Robeson, who have been right there with us in making sure that we get this legislation done. I'd also like to thank our national stakeholders, which include Tom Cassidy of the National Trust for Historical Preservation, as well as Teresa Pierno, who represents the National Parks Conservation Association. We all stand here together today to support this bipartisan legislation that I have put forth in honor of the historic, rich history of Birmingham, Alabama. The historic Civil Rights District in Birmingham holds so many stories of the journey from what was once regarded as one of the most segregated cities in America to the magic city that it is today. I also want to thank my colleagues, my House colleagues, my 6 House colleagues from the state of Alabama who signed on as original co-sponsors, making this legislation truly bipartisan. I'm proud to introduce this important legislation because Birmingham has played such a pivotal role in the civil rights movement, and this designation will forever cement the city of Birmingham in its rightful place as the epicenter of the civil rights movement. It was in Birmingham in 1963 where nonviolent protest marches became the inspiration for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was in Birmingham where civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and local civil rights activist Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth passionately fought for justice and equality in the 1960s. And it was in Birmingham, Alabama, where the first African-American millionaire, A.G. Gadsden, started a motel called the A.G. Gadsden Motel, where so many national and local leaders sat and planned the marches, planned the activities, and planned Project C, Confrontation, in Birmingham. The sights and stories of Birmingham Civil Rights District must be preserved and shared. There is no other agency better equipped to tell the stories, the journey of America in civil rights movement than the National Park Service. The National Park designation would also serve to be a great tourism boost for the city of Birmingham and the state of Alabama. These historic preservation efforts would be enhanced for these historic sites, and greater economic revitalization will occur in the city of Birmingham. With special sites such as the 16th Street Baptist Church, Kelly Ingram Park, A.G. Gadsden Motel, and other historic landmarks, we will cultivate and make sure that the city of Birmingham will get its rightful place in history as the civil rights mecca. I now turn the mic over to the mayor of the city of Birmingham, Mayor William Bell.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Let me add my deep appreciation to the work that you and your staff have done to get us to this point. And it should not go without mentioning the fact that the entire delegation from Alabama is supportive of this initiative, and we're deeply grateful. To have the designation as a national park will do wonders to let the world know that Birmingham is ready to take its rightful place as the icon of the civil rights movement. I want to thank Tom and Teresa and everyone else who played a role in getting us to this point. We realize we still have a long way to go, but we're prepared to work in harmony and in conjunction with everyone to make it a reality. On a day like today, when you see such tragedies that have occurred over in Brussels and other places around the world, oftentimes we think that things will never change. But Birmingham represents that change can come. Once upon a time, people say you will always have bombings and lynchings. You will always have mistrust and distrust. But because of good men and good women of goodwill who came together of all races, all religions, we were able to overcome. And we need to share that message with the rest of the world. I oftentimes refer to the fact that when the Israelites were set free from Egypt and they were told for each tribe to gather up a stone, and that stone one day would represent the telling of the story of their captivity. So when generations pass, they can look at that stone and ask, why do we have this stone? and then the elders would share with them the legacy and the history of that stone. Well, this national park will continue to tell the story. It is our stone to tell future generations of the things that we've overcome, how we became the people who we are, and that the American dream is a dream for all people. I want to thank my colleagues, my council members who are present, for without the support of the council, this also would not be a reality. So to each one of you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you've done and the work we will continue to do. We appreciate it. Tom.
We could not have done this without the help of so many national stakeholders. Tom Cassidy represents the National Trust for Historical Preservation.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Sewell and Mayor Bell and our friends from the City Council. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in today's announcement. As a gathering place for activists and leaders in the civil rights movement, the sites within the proposed Birmingham Civil Rights National Historical Park tell the uniquely American story of the fight for equality and the end of racial segregation in Birmingham and our nation. Last summer, the National Trust listed one of the sites in the proposed park, the A.G. Gaston Motel, which you see here and the Congresswoman referenced, as part of our America's 11 most endangered historic places list, and also as a national treasure, places where the Trust devotes our more than 60 years of expertise to finding a viable preservation solution. We applaud Congresswoman Sewell and her wonderful staff for your leadership in getting us to this place and in introducing this important legislation. And we're very proud to stand with the mayor and the City of Birmingham and the National Parks Conservation Association in supporting this effort to preserve not only the places but the history that happened in Birmingham's thriving historic district. This park will also serve to ensure that the stories of all Americans are protected and celebrated for this and future generations. President Obama has acted to include the places and stories of Harriet Tubman, Cesar Chavez, and Fort Monroe, where the narrative of the Civil War began its transformation from preserving the Union to creating freedom. All these places are now in our national park system. The Senate last week held a hearing on bills that would expand our park system to tell the story of women's suffrage at the Sewell Belmont House, where NPCA has been exercising great leadership. 3 separate African-American civil rights bills, including an expansion and renaming of the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historic Site, and also expansions of both the Petersburg and Shiloh Civil War battlefields. Each of these proposals advance the promise of a national park system that fully tells the stories of our rich, diverse, and sometimes difficult history. We look forward to successfully including the Birmingham Civil Rights National Historical Park in our national park system and ensuring that our national understanding of who we are and where we come from fully tells our uniquely American story. Thank you all once again.
Yeah. Next, we will hear from Teresa Perino, yes, who is the president and CEO of the National Parks Conservation Association. Thanks, Teresa.
And thank you, Congresswoman Sewell, for your leadership. As been stated, we couldn't be where we are today without that. And thank you, Mayor Bell, and certainly council members, as well as Tom, for the National Historic Trust leadership. It really has gotten us to where we are. And I am so personally honored to be here speaking and representing NPCA. And I want to personally thank Alan Spears for his leadership and our staff for all the support and all the work that he's done. After hearing the important remarks, it's clear to see the value of protecting these important sites. These sites were so important that they really opened up America's eyes to the plight of so many in our own country. and so pivotal in ending segregation and securing equal rights for all Americans. As Martin Luther King said when speaking about the aftermath of Birmingham, when a police dog buried its fangs in the ankle of a small child, he buried his fangs in the ankle of every American. And how true that was. America's history may not always be pleasant, but America's history is important, and it must be preserved and recounted for generations and generations to come. From the bloody battles of Gettysburg to the Manzanar internment camps, where thousands of Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II, the National Park Service tells these stories of our past so people will learn from them well into the future. And yes, some are difficult to hear, but perhaps those are the very stories that are most important to hear and to remember. And so, should this legislation, and I should say when this legislation passes, and this becomes a national park site, the National Park Service will do justice to the story and to all that fought for the segregation in Birmingham. At the very sites where these important events unfolded and that we're now working so hard to protect, we should all band together, just as so many Americans banded together in 1963. We need to band together now to ensure that justice is done. We must pay homage to those that put their lives on the line, and in the name of equal rights for all. One way to do that is to create the Birmingham Civil Rights National Historical Park to help ensure that these places are protected and these stories are told by the best that America has to offer, our National Park Service. Thank you again, and I'm honored to be here, and I can guarantee you that we will do everything that we can to ensure that this site becomes a national park site. Thank you
so much. So in closing, the National Historic Park designation by the National Park Service is for this kind of event. When several buildings make up a historic place that has connections to historical events, it should be a national park, and that's why we chose that designation. The proposed Birmingham Historic National Park will include 16th Street Baptist Church, A.G. Gadsden Motel, the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, Bethel Baptist Church, and the 4th Avenue Business District, among other sites. We're so pleased to be able to introduce this legislation. One of my greatest joys as a member of the 7th Congressional District is to represent America's history of civil rights and voting rights. And I think that Birmingham deserves to have its proper place in its pivotal role in the civil rights movement. And no better way can we exude this and also show this than to have a National Historic Park. So I look forward to seeing this legislation through and making sure that Birmingham and these wonderful sites are preserved for future generations. So thank you, and I open it up for a few questions. Any questions? Yes. Yes.
Could you further explain what this designation would mean in terms of funding and/or preservation? And can you also tell us more about your efforts to recruit other lawmakers outside of the delegation to make it a reality and passage?
So the way that we've designed this bill, it is budget neutral, but frankly, a national park designation allows a city like Birmingham to partner with the National Park Service to make sure that we can preserve these historical sites. And that's what we are calling for. We understand that the National Park Service has lots of deferred maintenance costs, and the city of Birmingham stands ready to help in any way to make sure that we can preserve these national sites. I think that by having a national park designation, it also will give the city of Birmingham an opportunity to boast its tourism and the state of Alabama. It is said that for every $1 that we invest in our national parks, $5 are yield in the local economies. So we're looking forward to having an opportunity for the city of Birmingham to benefit from this national designation. We have support from other lawmakers. The original bill that was dropped has 7 signatures, so I sponsored it, and the 6 members of the Alabama delegation, Gary Palmer, who represents Jefferson County as well, Bradley Byrne, who represents Mobile, Martha Roby, who represents Montgomery, Mike Rogers, who represents Montgomery and parts of Anniston, are also on it, and Mo Brooks, who represents Huntsville. So as you know, I'm the only Democrat in the Alabama delegation, so this is truly bipartisan by having my members on board. And I just really want to say a special thanks to them. They have shown themselves to be really lovers of Alabama and putting our state first. We know that the history that is in Alabama has been a very painful history, but from that painful history, has really spurred a national civil rights, voting rights movement, but an international human rights movement. So we in Birmingham, we in Alabama are proud of the role that we've played in this history, and we know that it needs to be preserved for future generations. It is said that if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, and I think that we should make sure that we never forget what happened in the city of Birmingham. The 4 little girls that were bombed by simply going to church was unimaginable, but it really captured the world's attention and led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Not so much a question, but my name is Sylvia Cyrus, and I'm the Executive Director of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the founders of Black History Month, and we strongly support, as you see in your press packets, this association supports these efforts. We have met in Birmingham a number of times and know how important the struggles, the trials, and the triumphs of Birmingham are. So we applaud you all for these efforts, and if there's anything further that we can do, please call on us.
Thank you. You know, this designation will also give us the national parks, will also conduct the interpretation of, as well as the preservation of the journeys that took place in these historic sites. And I think that we can never underestimate the importance of having a national preservation of this important history.
Thank you, and good morning, Congressman Sewell and other distinguished presenters. My name is Andrea Taylor, and I'm the president and CEO of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And I just want to say how much we appreciate your leadership in this effort to name the Birmingham Civil Rights District a national park. We are a museum of the future, about the past, and we stand ready to work with you to interpret this history for today and future generations so that nothing like what happened in the civil rights movement will ever happen again. So thank you for your leadership, and we look forward to working with you in making this designation a reality.
Thank you for your leadership, your new leadership to the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. It stands as a real landmark for the city of Birmingham and a real special place for preserving our history. And we think that by adding this National Historic Park designation will only enhance the wonderful exhibits and opportunities that we'll have at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Any other comments?
If you want, we can take individual questions. The formal presentation will conclude now, but any reporters who are here who would like to have interviews, just remain in the room and come to the front. We can help you out. Thank you for coming today, and thank you very much.
Thank you.